And then Europe does come calling. You end up the next year. You end up in Nottingham. Was the Elite League where you were looking, or were you just looking in Europe generally?
Yeah, I think every player when they decide to go to Europe is at first you're okay. Well, there's so many leagues to choose from. Like, how do I narrow it down? So you put out some feelers, see what's what. Talking to different guys here and there, and the best situation ended up being nothing really happened till August.
So you signed really late that
year. Yeah, because it was like, I wanted to make sure it was the right move. So we didn't sign anything early. And it's tough to, that first year when you leave North America, because their season finishes late, by the time I'm ready to look at different teams, it's June. A lot of other leagues they're already filled in
the
April.
rosters are sorted.
Yeah. So it didn't leave us with much options, but one of the best, my agent was saying, like, I think...
Because obviously with your dual passport...
Yeah, with the dual passport, coming to England might be the best move. I was like, okay, well, yeah, if you think it's good. So we started talking to a few teams, and then Corey called me, and I was like, yeah, this guy, he sounds like really good. Like, from what I've heard about him, is all good stuff. So it was like almost a quick decision, and let's get you going. And I was like, okay, when do you guys start? Oh, well, we started 2 weeks ago. So.
Oh, the CHL year.
Yeah, so, and I wasn't even aware that what the CHL was, first of all, and second, that the team was in it. So I was like, oh, man, that's awesome. Like, we get to play, Bern. They've got these guys and stuff. Like, I'm really excited. Cause, you play on the East Coast and stuff, and it's like the same. You're playing against the same guys and stuff. And this was something completely different. You get to play guys that played in the NHL recently, and big ice and everything. I was really excited to get over here.
I think when you do get to play in the CHL, as you say, you play in Bern. You come over and you beat Bern. You beat teams like Turku. And you advance to that next round. That was just to say it was so early in the season. It was such a special thing to go through.
Oh, it was amazing. I remember the first period against Bern. They were just working us. I think they scored 2 on the power play, and they were just. It seemed so. I was like, oh, geez, like this could be 10-0, and then we held out. Didn't let it get too bad. Then I think we scored the next 2 goals. It might have been Shala, and I'm involved in both those goals. I'm like, hang on here, like we can keep up with these guys, and it ended up. I think we lost that game, but we realized
the one on the road.
The one on the road, like we can play with these. Like this is not undoable. So then, and then that next game in Mountfield, I think just playing with that intensity that you need to compete with those teams, and winning that game was like, okay, we're in this. Like, and then it just went on from there. We'll get back home. Obviously, the crowd was unbelievable. That's such an advantage for us.
The one I remember is the crowd against Turku.
Yeah.
That was such a crazy game, especially when Josh scored the first goal and then Alex scored the second one.
Yeah.
It was just...
I think I still have one of those pictures when I think it's me, Shallows and Farms are all around the net, and you can see the puck going in, and we're just like so excited. Like, that was unbelievable.
Because then you're even going to get... From what I remember, you're going to be going like Henrik Talander, who, yes, he was in the latter stage of his career, but he was always on the ice. And he took a really stupid misconduct penalty by mouthing off at a referee. We got the 2 goals, and then that was, I think, Gorn's probably had one of his best games from being at Nottingham Panthers.
He was unbelievable.
Nothing was going past him.
Yeah, I think the teams just got discouraged because how are we going to get a puck by him? Like, he was just standing on his head, so obviously, we couldn't have done it without him.
And then to advance to the next round and take on Zurich and go up against guys like Kevin Klein. And I think you got the goal in Zurich, didn't you?
Yep. I remember trying to, like, when we got announced it was Zurich, some of the guys were like, oh, geez, like, how are we going to compete with them? Like, guys, they're not the Rangers. Like, like we beat Bird and stuff. Like, there's just another hockey team. But they were, I think they had that physicality that a lot of those other teams didn't have, as well as could skate and stuff. And just over 2 legs, we just not ran out of gas, but they played a smart game. And
I mean, over 2 legs, it was only 6-1.
Yeah,
that's
coming
literally
3-1 off the road was not too bad. Right? We could score 2 at home, and just the way the game played out just didn't happen for us. But really cool experience.
And then when you're coming off like a high like that, does it make it harder to then get back into like the regular season schedule, especially for someone like you who's coming in from the ECHL where it's all about the postseason?
Yeah, it really does. You're like, wow, it doesn't get much better than this. And now I've got to be pro, go to the Edinburghs and whatever it is, and really and win hockey games. And it is tough. I don't care who you are. After you've played the CHL and coming back to your main league, it's a tough thing to do. But you got to learn from that, and you got to obviously the main thing here is winning the league. So you got to bring it, and you got to be ruthless.
And you struck up a special and nice relationship that year with Jeff Brown, and especially towards the end of the year, him, and Alex Mokshansev were kind of the go-to guys on that team.
Yeah, it was kind of an odd line that got put together because Brownie was playing center a lot of the time, and Sasha was kind of just doing his own thing. So I remember at first when Corey put us together, I was like, oh, it's kind of an interesting line, but no, we really clicked. Brownie was obviously very passionate, very physical, and could make plays too. And then Sasha was magical with the puck.
His skill was next level.
Yeah, so that really worked out great.
And then that year, you got your first experience of playoff finals weekend. Mm-hmm. And as a Panthers fan, people say it's a horrible game, but for a neutral 5-4 overtime against Sheffield, it's what that kind of event is built for.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. You love playing in those games. Sometimes you're on the good side, sometimes you're on the bad side, but that's hockey. Like, those are the kind of games you live for, really.
And then you come in the next year back to Nottingham, but this time new coach, completely like new team, revamped kind of thing. Did it feel different when you came back?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you would have spoken to Rich throughout the summer, during the summer and things like that.
Yeah, it was kind of like, okay, we're going to play this aggressive style, and it's really going to suit your game, and
everyone we sign is going to be 6'4".
yeah, coming into the dressing room like, hi, how you doing? No, the first little bit there when we were running teams out of the rink, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a good year and stuff. But unfortunately, it didn't work out the way we all thought it was going to, and we had to kind of regroup.
It's kind of weird for you because you got put on the wing for a stretch as well.
Yeah, I was playing left wing. I was playing right wing. I'm like, Rich, this isn't natural to me. Like, and I think we were just trying to salvage something, like trying to get anything we could to get us out of that bad stretch. But it didn't work out for us.
And then Chris Stewart comes in. Rick Strachan takes the reins. And the back end of the year, after the December, early January, the back end of the year was actually quite successful because we managed to finish third. So that's a testament to the guys in the room. But Chris was a guy, when he came in, there was a lot of fanfare about him. But he really bought into the whole team ethic, didn't he? Like, you would never have known he'd played in the NHL just from watching him, because he just fit right in with everyone.
He was unbelievable. You can't say enough about him. I think we had a couple bad attitudes in the locker room, and he was having none of it. He would come in and, okay, like, this is what we got to do, and obviously had a ton of respect. But at the same time, he was super humble, easy to talk to, and on the ice, like, for me, he was a dream to play with. I knew, like, he's got my back, first of all. Secondly, I give him the puck, he's getting me right back, and he's going to the areas where he needs to get, and he's putting it on my tape, and I'm like, this is NHL standard right here. So that was really cool. And then we had Farms on the other side, and we all clicked.
Farms always seems to click with the ex-NHLers. Him and McGrattan.
They all love him.
Cam Jansen.
Yeah. But yeah, that was we I think for a while we were one of the hottest lines going. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, but when Rick took over, what kind of things did he like? Because obviously one of his objectives was to like lift the spirits in the room, kind of thing. What was that? What do you remember the things that, like, Rick focused on with guys individually?
I would compare it to like in football when like a caretaker manager takes over, like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Like, it comes in and okay, the spirits lift, and it's not something that he does like tactically that really changes, but just a different voice. He had a few things that from a hockey standpoint that he thought didn't work that we were doing, and some things that we could do that did work in the league. So that kind of just put us at ease, and we're like, okay, like we need to work, and we know what we need to do, and just go out and do it.
As you say, third place finish, managed to make it to playoff finals weekend. Unfortunately, in the playoff finals, lost Tommy like 2 minutes in, who's just been voted team MVP and everything. So it's a tough finish to the season. I think it was 9-4 or something.
Yeah,
it was something crazy like that. Because Patrick Munson came in and he kind of took the league by storm for a little bit as a starting netminder. He was a character.
Oh yeah. He was. I heard some things about him before I'd even met him, and usually I don't like that because I like to create my own opinions of guys. But yeah, he was funny. Like, God bless him. We lived in the same building, and he just wasn't. You could tell it was his first year pro, but he was awesome to have around. Like, lifted the spirits of guys. Was funny in the room. I remember going. We were getting our Secret Santa gifts, and I was with Hendo at the bookstore, and he had Munson, and we saw this book. It said, "Whatever you think, do the opposite." We're like, well, that's Munson right there.
I remember at the playoffs, he turned up in his dicky bow and his sunglasses on. I was like, what is going off here? And then that season finishes, and then pretty soon after the season finishes, Guy Doucette is named Director of Hockey in Nottingham. Do you remember speaking to him when he got that role?
Yeah, he got in touch with me quite early on. And, of course, we, playing for Great Britain, we don't really have much time to...
You don't get an off-season.
Exactly. It's we're straight to Coventry, and I think he texted me when I was maybe driving there at one point, and just said, just want to let you know who I am, what I'm about, blah blah blah, and it seemed like, again, like super nice guy from everything I heard, great guy in hockey. The guys that played with him said he was great and stuff. So I basically just went to the World Championships and tried to focus on that, and then go from there. I was already signed.
Yeah, you're already coming back.
So I didn't really have much to think about. But it's always nice to know, what he's about.
Yeah. But I imagine it's the same with Tim when he got the job, kind of thing. Because you've gone up against Tim the previous 2 years when he's at Sheffield, and then when he's player coach at Milton Keynes. And then for him to then get this job, which is quite a prestigious job in the world of UK hockey.
Yeah.
It's quite a cool thing for him, but he's settled right into this, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. You never know how new coaches are gonna come in and stuff. And it's a tough league to coach in. But yeah, he's done well. It's so different to see him on the ice playing against him, and then in the stands. But I remember hearing about him too, like what a great guy he was and stuff. And he's got the NHL experience, and you can always learn so much from guys like that.
Well, it's one of the key things this year is that I remember when Guy was signing players, and I was ringing him up to do the little interviews about players, and he's like, "Oh, this is a really good guy. And that was like one of the key factors that him and Tim wanted to focus on, and it seems like they actually pulled it off.
Yeah, and that was one of the things, when Deuce called me in the summer and stuff, it was like, okay, like what do you think was the problem? What do we need to address? And he mentioned like he wants to assemble a team of good character guys, and I was like, I can't stress the importance of that enough.
Because you're around each other for every day for, was it 6-9 months or whatever it is?
Exactly. You got to have good attitudes, and if you have one bad apple, then it's contagious and stuff, and then it gets out of hand. But yeah, so far it's been an unbelievable group this year.
And especially as when we were on that stretch, I think it was like 1 win in 10 games or something. The mood in the locker room, and this is a testament to the players in there, the leadership and the coaches, the mood never dropped once. Everyone was still walking around with their heads held high.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone knew it was going to come eventually. And
Mm-hmm.
then now the last 15 games, I think they're the top team in the league if you work it out that way.
Yeah. So I think you just can't worry about those things. We knew we had the talent and we had the character in that room to get it done. And yeah, doing it now.
And then coming over to the league went hand in hand with you getting your debut for Great Britain after your first year. Was that something that you were eyeing when you came over here, or had you had conversations about it before whilst you were in the States?
Pete would he'd be messaging me when I was playing in the East Coast, but it was just so hard because obviously you got playoffs and stuff, and you can't just be flying over back and forth like for Olympic qualifiers or this or that. So we kept in touch and stuff, and it was always kind of like, okay, when I'm in Europe, I'll give it a go. And of course, I ended up coming to England, and I was like, oh yeah, this is the time is right, and yeah, let's do this.
And then that first year you played for GB 17-18, you actually pick up the gold medal, which is your first like professional trophy. It's not a trophy, but the first professional accolades kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which must be such a cool moment too. Because are you more GB or are you more Canada? I know there's no right answer to it.
Yeah, well, it's tough because
you grew up in one place.
Yeah, I've lived in both places, and I have family in both places, and it's almost, I don't see it like
you can choose as it suits you, really.
Yeah, exactly. So it was kind of a thing like they're like, because they just got promoted. I remember talking to Farms and Stevie, like, oh, we got to play like Kazakhstan this year and these teams, and I'm like, Kazakhstan, like they even have hockey, because I never played any of these teams and stuff. It's like, oh yeah, they're good. They've got this guy and this guy. I'm like, come on, guys. Like, Korea's in the group above us. Like, we gotta, Great Britain's got to do something at some point. And I kind of kept that attitude, and maybe it was a little, optimistic, but I thought, the guys we have in this league, like, we should be able to put together, a really good team and go and compete. And when the first game in that tournament, we're playing Slovenia, and I think they're the top seed, and there was all this talk about, Kopitar, like, is he coming over? Is he not? Like, I think his dad was on the staff, and they got this. I think they did well in the Olympics that year too. So we were watching their video, and they're playing Team USA in the Olympics, and the guys were like, holy shit, like, so playing that, we knew we had to be good. End up winning that game. It was like, okay, well, if we just won that game, like, surely we could beat all these other teams now. And it was like, okay. And then I think we played Kazakhstan maybe next. Didn't go our way. Didn't have a good game, but it wasn't the end of the world. We still were in pretty good shape. And from then on, it was just like, let's take care of business. And we went out and we're through. And just every game, Pete would come in and be like, yeah, let's go for this. Like, how often are you going to be in this situation and stuff? And remember that before that last game, it was like, so we're playing Hungary, the host, and we're the late game, because of obviously the crowd and stuff. So I think Italy's playing Slovenia before that, and if they tie, we automatically go through. Doesn't matter what we do against Hungary. So they're tied going into the third, And I think there's like a couple minutes left. We're like, oh, geez, boys, this is it. Like, we don't even have to do anything. Both teams pull their goalie because it's kind of like,
oh, it's almost like what we went through in
if
Denmark.
if they tie, they're both out, and us and I think it was us and Kazakhstan go through. So one team had to win outright. So they both pulled their goalie. Italy ends up scoring in the empty net. They win. So now it means we have to win to go through. And it was like, oh, geez, like couldn't write this stuff. Couldn't put any more pressure on us against the home team. You know, the crowd, 15,000 crazy Hungarian fans screaming, and just the way that game went. Obviously, you know the story.
Farms' goal.
Farms' goal scores with 15 seconds left, and that was just like, it was such a good feeling. I don't even remember overtime. It was just like we'd done it, like, and then we ended up winning the shootout and hearing the national anthem, and that was the coolest thing. Like, getting that gold medal and celebrating after was awesome.
As I say, with the 2 goals being pulled, it was almost with like the Hungarian team at the Continental Cup this year.
It was having flashbacks. Like, it was all because basically like the same thing happened, right, where we had to win.
Yeah, so. They were at that face-off, and whoever won the face-off, the goalie was going. It was just like it had to be them. Yeah. And then the next year, you come back, you go to the World Championships with GB, which must be the most incredible occasion. And then not only to go and play there, but to survive in that environment. Yeah.
So next year, the mindset's like, okay, so we went from worrying about like, oh, Kopitar's coming over to, oh, we got a whole team of those guys now.
Oh, that's Patrick Kane.
Yeah, we're going to play against Canada and the States, and they've got the whole NHL roster. So we had to change our thinking to that one a little bit. In the pre-tournament games were pretty good. We got to play the KHL team and stuff, and Dynamo Riga, and then Torpedo was a good tune-up for us.
You played Slovakia or Slovenia when you went out there.
Played Slovakia, then in Slovakia. So that was kind of like, I remember coming, just warming up for that game, just like yeah, this is cool. Like, this is where I want to be. Coming out after back into the room after the first period, like, this is good hockey. Like, you know, you got to skate. If you're not changed by 30 seconds, you're dead. Like, you got to skate like crazy. But after that, it was like, yeah, we can. Again, I think we lost. It might have been 5-1 or something. We got a goal on the power play, but it shouldn't have. It was more like a 3-1 game. You know, we held our own, and it was like, yeah, like, I'm excited for this tournament. We can maybe upset some teams. And the first game we played was against Germany, and my brother was playing with Cahoon at that time. They were playing in Chicago, and he would always ask him, like, oh, what's that GB team like? Are they he's like, my brother's like, that German team's like worried. They're worried about you guys. I'm like, guys, like, we got a chance to do something against this team, because they had a couple in it. They had Dom. They had Draisaitl. If we can shut them guys down, we might be able to take it to them on the other lines. And I remember the first face-off, I was starting against Draisaitl. Oh, jeez.
Because he's big, isn't he?
He's a big boy. His stick, he uses this massive blade. He just tears my hands off on the face-off. I'm like, oh, jeez. It's going to be a long night. But, he actually it did pretty well in shutting him down. I think he might have had a goal on the power play or something. But, we had a good game there. I think we lost 2-1 with an empty net. Might have been 3-1. But then we knew what we could do, but nobody else in the tournament kind of did. So they're like, okay, this GB team's kind of for real.
Because what was weird about the tournament was that the USA team was perhaps more star-studded, but you fared better against them than you did against Canada for whatever reasons. How it works out.
Yeah, I think just the different styles. I think we played Canada really early.
Yeah.
It was after that. It was on a back-to-back right after the German game. They had a day off, so they were well rested and stuff. And I think just the different styles. Canada possessed the puck. I don't want to say we were out of energy, but we did put a lot of emotion into that Germany game. And it was kind of like, okay, well, these guys, they play a different style. Obviously, they're North American style. They kept the puck from us. Weren't overly physical, but strong on the puck. And we just didn't get anything from the game. And then I think after that, we kind of learned how to play against those type of teams. So maybe for the U.S., we were a bit more prepared. But yeah, like you said, they had a star-studded lineup. Patrick Kane was the best player in the tournament.
There's a great picture of, I think, Ollie laying a hit on him.
Yeah.
It's the glass. It's one of my favourite pictures.
So yeah, what a memorable game that was. For me, probably one of the most
You scored,
in my career.
didn't you?
Yeah. Late in the second period, so Kane gets it coming back in his zone, tries to make a backhand pass. I knock it down and score, and
You should just get past it. Thanks for the assist.
yeah. Oh man, it was the coolest thing because obviously Brendan had played with him that past year too. So it was kind of like, thanks for that one, Kaner. But and then after the game, we both got player of the game. We both had to do our interviews with the media after on the ice, and the English fans were cheering. You're just the shit, Harry Kane, and he's laughing and he's talking to the person, and he's like, yeah, I don't understand what they're saying, but they're rowdy, and I was inside just pissing myself. Oh yeah.
Because when you're at that tournament, did you get to talk to these guys as you're walking around, kind of thing? So I know Ollie said he went into like a stretching room, and there were. I can't remember which ones he said, but he said there was some pretty. We
all shared the same weight room, so you'd go in there and it would kind of be like, okay, who am I going to see today? And if you're all warming up at the same time, yeah. And you see like guys like Goudreau walking around, and I think Mizey actually injured him, put him out for a couple. So he was always like on the bike outside the room and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And then you got like. Denmark was the room beside us, and Finland, and
so you got to see Patrick out there.
Got to see Galby, and then that Capo Kako was a big deal at the tournament.
You got to play him and Jack Hughes. Jack Hughes, yeah, the one for Yeah.
So obviously a lot of scouts watching them and stuff. So yeah, it was really cool.
And it all comes down to that game against France, for who's going up, who's going down. And you go 3-0 down?
3-0 down.
That must be like... Because that was our... Well, you said you thought you probably could beat anyone. That's probably the one you had circled.
Absolutely. That's the one everybody had circled. Yeah, we got to win this game. So 3-0 down. Oh, no, why? And so we just... nobody quit. We got back at it 3-1. Okay, 3-2. Okay, let's get the next one. Don't we tie it? And then it's like, okay, now we got to go overtime. Please don't go to a shootout. Whatever. Don't let this come down to a hockey play. I remember, yeah, I was nervous, but at the same time, I had this confidence. If we just come back, we're winning this hockey game.
You got all the momentum.
There's no way we're gonna lose it. Even I remember in overtime, I won a face-off in our zone, and Ben O'Connor got it, and he tried to make a pass. We kind of both forwards went for a 2-on-1. If he gets through, it's a 2-on-1. Hits a guy. They get two whacks in front of it. Bouncy's kind of up on, makes a pad stack save. I'm like, wow, yeah, we almost just lost there, but it was there was still a calming we're gonna go down and score. And they're not gonna win. And, a couple of shifts later, yeah, Davies gets that chance. I think it started with Jono going down, and he kind of he fell, but he was in control. And then the French player goes at him, gives it to Davies, he's wide open and scores. And that was just, I didn't believe it went in. I was like, this is crazy, and everybody just skating, and it was a really cool celebration.
And that tournament was really, he's no secret in the Elite League, but it was a real coming out tournament for Ben Bounds, wasn't it? Like everyone knows what he's about over here. He makes all these crazy saves from positions you think he's got no right to save anything from. But for him to do that on that stage,
exactly,
it's just
that's another level for guys. You always kind of judge players on, playoffs or big game players, and he's definitely a big game player. Like to come up with those saves, and even the year before, like he was so clutch when we needed him. That really is a testament to his character.
And then even Jackson got a few games out there, so it must have been really cool for you to see that he was coming here over the summer, which was the coup and the surprise of the off season.
It was, yeah. Like obviously, getting 2 tournaments with Jackson and got to know him pretty well. And anytime you can add a goalie like that with British, not ancestry, but British minor hockey, I guess, is a good thing for this club for sure.
I think he's a bit different to you, because I think at some level it used to be 4, but now everyone's like, oh no, it's actually fine now. He doesn't count as an import. It's okay. Now he plays here.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Well, that's a lot of ice hockey we just talked about. So what does
It's funny how we said we're not going to talk much about
you just
hockey.
get into it, don't you?
Yeah, it's
so what does Brett Perlini do outside of ice hockey? I know you love your golf.
Yeah.
And I know you love Manchester United.
Yeah.
So where did you first start falling in love with golf?
Oh, golf.
Is it just a getaway thing?
It is. Oh, absolutely. Especially during the season. It was always like for me, like ended the hockey season as a kid, bring out the golf clubs. I'm playing. There were some summers I played every day. Like I would get a membership at our local country club, and that was just like we had a group of friends there. What time we playing tomorrow? Like tournaments and everything, and it was just like it almost came to a point where I had to decide between hockey and golf. It was getting that serious, but I think we didn't have the season for it in where I was in Canada. It was only like a 4 months where you could really golf, and then the snow came, and it was like these kids in Florida are playing year round, and they've got coaches at 12, and it's going to be tough to compete with them. But it would have been. I think I still would have done pretty well at golf. I still managed to be a pretty good golfer.
So, have you played any of the big courses in America or anything like that?
Yeah. I played Oakland Hills a couple times, where they had the Ryder Cup. Padraig Harrington won the PGA Championship there. I remember I was such a big Garcia fan, and that's what Garcia lost in the playoff, and I was like, but no, playing that course, that was a monster course. The greens are unbelievable. Like, never seen anything like them. If you're in the wrong spot, you basically have to go back and try it again. It was like, but then coming over here and playing the courses here is just totally different. Like, I was fortunate enough to play St. Andrews.
Okay.
After my first year, my brother came over and we went up to Scotland and played a few rounds, and it was just so pure. Like, that's obviously the home of golf, and it's just so much different on the coast with the wind blowing, and there's so many different shots you got to hit, and we just loved it.
Because one of the things about golf courses, when you like look at them, it's like aerially or something. They're just beautiful to look at. It's just so serene just look at a golf course.
That's for me. It's so peaceful. You're out there with your thoughts, 4 hours, chasing a ball around, and it's the exact opposite to hockey.
Chaos and madness.
Yeah, and at the same time, it's a mental challenge, and that's why I love it.
So, which players do you root? Because it's not a team sport. People root for individuals who they like. So, who like your guys?
Well, growing up in my generation, it was always Tiger Woods.
The visual is always the crowd following him as he walks along.
The
Tiger March or the walk or whatever.
Yeah, I remember my first time seeing him live was at the Buick Open outside of Flint, Michigan. And I went there with my buddy. And this was when Vijay Singh, he had a pretty big rivalry with Vijay Singh. And we watched the Saturday round. And they were both just lighting it up, and the crowd was like so pro Tiger. I almost felt bad for Vijay, but it was so cool to see his focus and the way he played the game. And this was we also Justin Rose was actually was another guy that I really looked up to, and he was at that tournament. and kind of nobody really knew about him. So we could follow him, almost like have a conversation with him. And a funny story with Justin Rose actually is before I moved back to Canada, I think it was the year before, we watched the U.S. Open qualifier at Sunningdale. And this was, Justin Rose was really young. And so we were walking around, and we didn't really mean to follow him. He just kind of came up, and we're like, okay, yeah, let's follow him for a few holes. So it was me, my dad, and my mom. And we're walking around, and we see this couple. They were following him as well. And so I think my dad starts talking to him, and it was his it was like his old golf coach. And so they got talking and stuff, and they're like, oh, it'd be really cool if can my son get a picture with Justin after the round? Like, yeah, no problem. He's got, because they had to do 36 holes that day. He had a really good 18. I think he shot 5 under. So then he got like an hour for lunch. And like, well, yeah, we'll just get him when he comes out before he warms up for his next round. It's like, okay. So at where we were sitting waiting in Sunningdale, it's kind of like the main hub. Like, you know, you've got your one course on this side, the other course this side. We're right in the middle, like right by the putting green in the clubhouse. Like, a lot of fans are around. So Justin comes along, and this coach like introduces us, like, hey, this is you know, Brett, Fred, and Vicky. Like, oh yeah, we love your game. Do you mind if we get a picture? Like, no problem. Okay. Like, this was before camera phones and everything. So
Polaroid.
Yeah, no, my mom's got she's got a digital camera, battery operated.
Oh wow.
And of course, so we're like this. You know, he's got to go. This is like not we don't have long. So my mom goes to take the picture. It's like, what's wrong? It's not working. And I remember these were exact words, like, you're joking. And me and my dad looked like, no, like, what is going on? Like, and she checked the thing. Of course, no batteries in the camera. Like, oh no. So he goes off, like, we're like, oh yeah, like, we'll get him to send you one. Oh no. Then of course, doesn't he go on to shoot like 5 over or something, miss the cut, and we're like, oh, we've jinxed him. Like, that's like, oh no, like, what is that? But yeah, so that was a memorable moment for sure.
It's so weird how all those kind of moments are what stick in your head.
Yeah, I know, like the ones that, you know, if we got the picture, I probably would think nothing of it. But
yeah. Now you have the story behind it.
Yeah, now I got the story.
The story behind the non-picture.
Yeah.
So what's the best round you've personally played? Have you hit a hole in one?
I have got a hole in one at in England at Worpleston, outside of Guildford. I was 11 years old. We used to go out there. I had a membership. It was like a really good deal on a junior membership, so I wouldn't get to play there much, but we would just go out at nights sometimes and play. We'd start on the 10th hole and kind of work our way around. And the last hole we'd usually play was a par 3 over water. I think it was like 137 yards from. I was playing the forward tees at the time. I was 11 years old. And I remember hitting a 6-iron. I had these light little graphite shaft 6-irons, and it was almost getting dark. Pin was at the back of the green, so you had to carry all this water. So I landed at the front, and it's rolling and it's going towards the pin. I'm like, that's got a chance. It was just me and my dad out there, and sure enough, hits the pin, goes in, and we look at each other like, oh my god, like, unbelievable. I'm like, I was so happy. Like, I remember coming home, like, telling the rest of the family, like, oh my god, like, I got a hole in one, like, and it hasn't happened since. And I was like, it seems more special the more you think about it, because it's so rare to get. Especially all my buddies like say like, oh yeah, like, you're so lucky to have one. And then there's people like my great aunt. She's had 11 hole-in-ones.
What?
Yeah, and you're like, unbelievable. Like, some people just have the luck, I guess. But my best round, probably my most memorable tournament. We used to have this thing called it was the Pepsi Tour. Just for like Northern Ontario, we'd play all these different, like every course would have a little junior program, and you'd go and play tournaments. And the tournament in Sault Ste. Marie was called the Sanderson. And I hadn't really played in many tournaments at that time. So I was really nervous playing. And I ended up shooting, I was like +2 or +3 for 2 days. Like, could miss a putt, like coming down the stretch, like just getting it done. And that was like the most fun I've had. Like playing in tournaments in golf is so much harder than just out for a round with your mates and stuff.
It's because the pressure, isn't it?
The pressure, yeah. You're overthinking everything, and just to get that done, it was very satisfying.
So do you remember like the first time that was it the first time you saw golf on telly and you thought that's interesting, or was it the first time your experience with it actually going out and playing like crazy golf or something?
Well, it was kind of my family was into it like before I had a chance. Like my mom was always the golfer, and of course my dad was very competitive at anything he did, and so he didn't take up golf till he was 25. And of course, like if you watch his swing now, it's just like a slap shot. he hasn't got the turn. But he was like, when he was playing, he would finish practice, go straight to the range, and hit like thousands of balls. And he was like just determined to be a scratch golfer. And he just had that. It's kind of. I think that's why he was so good at hockey too. He did the same thing. Just determined to get better and better.
It was like the Michael Jordan mentality.
Exactly. And so he did that with golf, and it didn't take him very long to become a good player. And then from then on, he's had the golf bug, like, and so from an early age, he's got us into golf. Me and my brother were always we had a club in our hands from an early age, and it was nice. It's nice that my mom plays too, because we can all go out and play as a family, and perfect 4-ball.
Yeah. What's your handicap now then?
Probably play off about a 3 or a 4. When I'm really playing, I can get her around par. But I think the advantage for me compared to most golfers is you play hockey and you develop the slap shot, and so I can hit the ball a long way. And I'm playing some of my buddies and out driving them by 50 yards. It's like, oh, that's all you got, boys. Like, and my brother's the same way too. We just we've practiced enough to where we can hit it straight, and we've got the length to, especially if it's a shorter course. We can do pretty well around it.
So I know Laco's a big golfer, isn't he? Ollie plays
Laco,
golf.
Ollie. There's actually, I'm finding out more and more guys on the team. Deutsche I've played with so far. Hansen is he talks a lot about golf. Malmquist. I guess a lot of them were at Laco's golf day, but because it was a shotgun start, didn't really get to see them. Connolly is another good one. So it'd be nice to get them all on the course.
He was waiting for the weather to turn.
Yeah. Some of those guys are like, you're crazy. Like, it's we're only playing if it's 30 degrees and we're wearing shorts. Me and Laco look at each other like, no, that's way too nice to golf.
That's a beach day.
Yeah, exactly. Me and Laco and Ollie, Whistle actually play with us a couple times too. But we always try and go out as much as we can. And we played, obviously we played in Nottinghamshire quite a bit. And I've got to Hollingwell and the Belfry, and just try and play every course we can around here.
The question is, who's the best out of the three of you?
Oh, I'll take the title all day. But saying that, we always have competitive matches. Like, all those guys on their day can be really good.
So are you a lefty at that, or are you a righty?
Lefty, yeah.
Because sometimes you get it the other way around.
Yeah, I've been working on my righty game.
What, to give them a chance?
No, one of my trainers, he always talks about balance. Like, you're doing everything from the left side. Your body's gonna, kind of be out of sync.
Well, like your gait or something they call it.
Yeah. So been working on. I just started swinging a club right-handed, and then got to hitting balls, and now I'm like, okay, like I wonder how I can play. And I actually played around right-handed and did not too bad.
Yeah, 'cause the only sport I've ever played like competitively is cricket.
Yeah.
That's the only one. I was always right-handed, but you're always told that cricket you should be left-handed. If you write with your right hand, that should be your dominant hand. So you're hitting the ball on the floor. I was like, there's no fun in that.
Yeah.
We're going up and doing that way.
that's how they teach you hockey in Canada, and obviously everybody here is the right hand dominant. I think they play field hockey and it's right-handed. So okay, it must be right-handed in ice hockey too.
Yeah.
So it's funny how that works.
Yeah, so Manchester United. When did that love affair start?
That kind of started. I remember in '99 when they had the treble, and we were watching the Champions League final. And my dad actually he played in Manchester. I think it was Trafford.
Would it have been the Phoenix then?
No, they I think they were like Trafford Metro. I think he played there maybe a year or two, but he was at the bar one day, and he was sitting there and he was chatting to a guy, and it turned out to be Brian Robson. And he's like, oh yeah, like because he didn't know anything about football. He was just like, okay, just another footballer. And of course Robson was curious about hockey and stuff, and so they kind of got chatting, and from then on he kind of followed United, and I remember we had that Champions League game on, and they come back and win, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Like seeing him like celebrate like that for a different sport, I was like, oh yeah, like this is awesome and stuff.
I remember watching that game. I was at my granddad's. And I was watching that, and I remember the Sheringham and Solskjaer.
Yeah, it was crazy. And it was funny, this past summer, Manchester United were on a tour, and I think they ended up playing in Arizona.
Oh, that's cool.
And so Brennan was out there at the time. Of course, he's got his connects to try and get down there, okay. And he ends up getting down on the touchline. I think they were it might have been 2 years ago. Mourinho was the manager, and he's like, yeah, Mourinho walked by, and guy wanted to do an interview with him. Who did it turn out to be? Brian Robson.
It's a small world.
Yeah, it's crazy how it comes full circle. Right?
What's it? I know from speaking to Adam, he's an Arsenal fan, so I'm sure you've been having some fun with him lately.
Oh, having a lot of fun with him. I really enjoy the Arsenal Fan TV. And,
yeah, that is funny.
Oh, yeah. I actually I went down to Emirates last year. Just we were in London, and I was like, oh, I want to see it. And they had a match that day. I was like, oh, yeah, get a picture of the Arsenal Fan TV guys. I was like, yeah, this is awesome. But, no, yeah, I've been giving it to him. Emery out, and now he's finally out for 2 games in. Freddie out.
You got Greener as well after you just beat Tottenham.
Yeah, Greener hasn't spoke to me much after that, so that's been nice. But yeah, it was kind of.
Because do you think the corner has? I know it's not to get carried away with 2 big results in 1 week, but do you think the corner has turned for them now?
It's tough to say, really, because a couple weeks ago I was saying like, let's go after Pochettino. Like, I love Ollie, but a manager like Pochettino is not available too often. So, but now obviously, the last 2 weeks of like, okay, well, the team's
special.
Like, playing unbelievable, and you've got to stick with it. And I think the moves they made in the summer, I was like, okay, yeah, let's just go young. Lukaku, whatever, doesn't want to be here.
Because he's finally cleared out some of the deadwood.
Exactly. And now some of these young guys, like that Daniel James, what a player he is. Like,
he's quick.
He wouldn't have got the opportunity in past years. And
no.
See a guy like that come on, and then you've got Rashford, Martial.
Like McTominay. What's the left back's name?
McTominay's been a real good surprise.
Yeah. What's the left back's name who recently came?
Wan-Bissaka?
No, he's the other one. Is it Bailey or something? But if I'll find.
Not sure.
My football knowledge is okay, not great, so I could be completely making things up? I don't know. But then people did sniff at Harry Maguire signing for so much money in the summer, and look how he's turned out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they needed to make a big signing like that in defence. Like you look at Van Dijk for Liverpool and what he's done for them. Maguire, he's very capable of doing the same things. I think it's just...
It's one of those things for Manchester United that they like English players. So to get him in, he could be the next... it's always the next someone else.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
the next Rio Ferdinand.
Yeah, exactly. The next Ferdinand or whoever. But yeah, that's good that he's an English boy. He's got the talent, and yeah, I think he's going to settle in nicely.
Because it's weird for a team like Manchester United who had such a period of like dominance, and it just shows the impact that someone like Sir Alex Ferguson had on that.
You don't really realize till he's gone. Like David Moyes comes in and and Van Gaal, and yeah, there was a stretch there. It was tough being a United fan after being so used to success and stuff. But I like the way they're trending. I think they've got a good core of young guys, and they can keep adding to that, which I'm sure they will.
Because have you been to Old Trafford?
I have, yeah, a couple times last year. I've seen them in the Champions League.
I imagine that's special. Old Trafford on a Champions League night.
Yeah, it was cool. It wasn't. The game didn't mean too much. I think they were already through, and I think they battered a team, a lesser known team. I don't even remember the name, but yeah, just seeing it for the first time was so cool. And they actually had the European Cup out there, so I got a picture of that. So that was it was so cool. Like I've spent most of my adult life in America being a Manchester United supporter. And then next thing you know, you're at the stadium, and it's like, wow, this is surreal.
Did you go and watch the MLS while you were in the States?
I did, yeah. Got to watch Toronto FC.
So they're quite good now, or they were when Drogba was there. They were quite good. No, he played Montreal, didn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Knew it was one of them.
But no, this is when they had Jermaine Defoe.
Oh, okay.
So they were. I remember watching him, and he was like, he barely did anything, and he got the ball twice and scored twice. It's like, yeah, that's a striker for you. But no, it's growing over there. The MLS. They're getting some big names. Obviously, a guy like Zlatan, really putting them on the map.
Beckham was like the first one.
Beckham was the first. I remember when he signed, I was, "What are you doing, David?" But it was he was a pioneer. Like,
yeah, And then he's bought the French that Inter Miami.
Yeah, Inter
franchise
Miami.
now.
So he's doing good things for football.
Well, and it's quite interesting that the sport over there keeps growing despite their men's team never, especially recently, to say they've consistently failed is probably an understatement. They have not reached the level that they probably should have, given the investment they're now putting into soccer, stroke football, to appease everyone who's listening to this.
Yeah, I think that's what just America does. They want to be the best, and they'll throw the money into it. And you're starting to see. Obviously, it takes time to develop these guys. Like guys like Pulisic come over and be an impact guy at Dortmund. There's that Yedelin, plays for Newcastle.
Right back, yeah. Do you remember Freddie Adu, who was
meant
to be the next
Pele or something? Whatever it was. Yeah.
Because he can only be like 20-something now. Because when he was the next thing, he was like 16.
I think he was. He might have been like a year older than me. I remember hearing about him like, oh, jeez. And so I think he's still. I don't know. I watched a YouTube documentary about him the other day, and it was just like, the guy that could have been.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Then compare their men's team to their women's team, which is completely the most dominant thing. Because did you watch any of the Women's World Cup?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because where did you stand on? I asked Brian this because Brian used to play football when he was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you stand on the 13-0 over Thailand?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But that's a U.S. mentality. Like
it's just beat
exactly. Like, don't let up. And
because that was the thing they took umbrage with, was that every time someone was talking about the U.S. women's team, they're saying, "Oh, they're such good athletes." They weren't talking about them as footballers. They're almost like they're just bigger, stronger, better conditioned, and will just beat you down and then beat you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then even then, England's women's team is, until recently, had came on until obviously they peaked at the World Cup, and then since then it's been a bit of a emotional or physical.
I think the biggest difference that I see living in both countries is that girls growing up in the States, soccer, like they get into soccer right away. I say soccer, football. But yeah, it's encouraged. And like that's like it's not looked at like it's almost looked at like a girl's sport, like because that's
it's bottom of the totem pole. No disrespect to them, but for men, it's
for
not.
The men. You're playing American football, you're playing basketball, you're playing baseball. Those three come first. Then you might play hockey. Then in the summer, if you've got time, you might play football. Whereas the girls, a lot of the parents like encourage them from a young age too, because there's scholarships available at most big schools have a Division I soccer team, and like that's a gate almost like golf too. That's the gateway to a free education. So they're pushed to be athletes, and whereas here, growing up in school, like the girls would they're barely participating in PE. They're not engaging in any of these team sports unless they're really dedicated or their parents push them.
Yeah. Well, then plus at lower levels, there aren't many girls' teams. You have to be a girl playing in a boys' team. I remember when I had Lindsay on here, the Forest women's captain. They changed the name, and I can't remember which way round it is at the minute.
Yeah.
She was saying that until she was like 8 or something, she was always playing with boys because there's just no girls' team.
Yeah, that's unbelievable in the country that invented football. And
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Going back to Manchester United, who would you say your all-time favourite Manchester United player is?
Ryan Giggs, without a doubt.
Oh, okay, that was easy.
Yeah.
Is it that goal against Arsenal that stands out?
Yeah. Well, it's not a particular goal. It's just his mentality. Number 11 was always my favourite number. My dad wore number 11 in Guildford.
He couldn't wear that here.
Couldn't wear it here, but Giggsy was always number 11. I think the reason my dad wore it was because they were saying like, all the strikers in England wear this number. So okay, I'll wear that. And then obviously Giggsy like had such an unbelievable career, and he was just he was always the go-to guy at United for my time growing up, so it was pretty cool watching him.
He's got to look at all the games. He was the record holder until, was it Lampard beat him or someone? Someone overtook him.
Yeah, Gareth Barry maybe or something.
Yes, it was him.
Yeah.
Because I was like, that guy. Really
that
record should belong to someone who's like pretty next level.
Mm-hmm.
So did you ever play football then?
I did, yeah. So I played like club football growing up. You can't not play it when you're a boy growing up in England.
I mean, even I play football.
Yeah. Like every lunchtime, get home from school, all the kids would be playing. We used to have this area at our home. We would call it the middle, and everybody would meet. It was a little park, and we'd always play. And then, so I got pretty good. And then I'd go back to Canada, and we'd have a summer league, and it was just like, I was a men amongst boys. I could walk through the whole team. I remember at one time I did a slide tackle on a kid, and they're like, "What? What?" And then the ref's like, "Yeah, it's legal." It was just like I was so advanced beyond my years. So then I ended up playing maybe a couple summers. We had like a travel team that we'd go down to Toronto and compete and stuff. But, I never really, always loved the game, but never really could take it much further than that. And I wish I could still go out and play like on the regular, but, you got to put your priorities straight.
Well, I always used to take a Dimitar, Berbatov approach to it. I never did much running, but when I got the ball, I did something with it. That was my approach with it. So outside of golf and Manchester United, what does Brett Perlini like to do?
I like to keep busy,
I'm sitting down and talking for like 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of things. Recently, it's been finance for me. Really trying to educate myself on, I want to get my financial education up to where it's, learn about investing, learn about real estate, whatever it is. Because that's something after hockey I'm going to have to depend on.
You need another skill.
Exactly. You know, I say you're not going to be able to play sports forever. So you got to train your mind, and you know, I'm big into that. Reading books, just educating myself.
So you're more non-fiction than fiction?
I'm more non-fiction. Yeah. I enjoy the occasional non-fiction, but at first I was all like biographies, like you know, a lot of footballers. Pirlo, I read Zlatan's. Who else?
See, I'm like that, but I read WWE wrestlers.
Yeah.
Books,
Oh,
like,
those would be
like
interesting.
Like Bret Hart's kind of
Yeah.
things. It's like this big. And
Wow.
like Mike Tyson's. You know, he's not a wrestler, but Mike Tyson's is a
I've heard
very
his
good
book,
autobiography.
Yeah. But lately it's been more educational stuff. Just finished Rich Dad Poor Dad as a financial one. Sapiens was another good one. I've got a couple
by
of boys.
the Jewish author.
Yeah.
Where it talks about like countries don't exist. That you're
Yeah.
living, a country is an imagined reality created to enforce order.
Exactly.
I've
blows your mind.
I've read that, and I think it's tremendous, and I think everyone should read.
Oh,
I wish
yeah.
I could say the author's name. And
Yeah,
as a Jewish
yeah, I
guy,
definitely
I will
can.
butcher it if I say it. But the what he took, like, it's not when people say it, they say, "Oh, that sounds like culty." I'm like, it's not. It's just another way of thinking about something.
Exactly.
How
it's so
all this
different.
stuff, just all the things like Nottinghamshire doesn't exist. That's again an
It's
imagined
just
reality.
a made up thing. Yeah.
Where- and
Like
it-
a corporation. Like
Yeah,
he
and
compares
it
it to.
enforces tribalism, which is a bad thing. It's like we hate them because they're from Derby, when in fact you're not. You're all just sapiens.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it's
exactly.
a fascinating book.
Oh man, the first two chapters absolutely blew my mind, and then the last two, when he talks about like the end of Sapiens,
Yeah.
is
What
unbelievable.
about when it gets to like irrigation and all things like that?
Yeah, like how the agricultural was that revolution kind of was the worst thing that happened to Sapiens.
Yeah.
And you're thinking like that's completely opposite to everything I've ever known.
Yeah, it's
But
just,
it makes perfect sense.
yeah, it's always good to have that alternate like viewpoint kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because reading that, I was like, I would never have thought of this in a million years. But when you read it, it's like that's just so clearly makes sense.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Because I've never been like, when it comes to being like, you know, patriotic, I'm not overly patriotic in either way. Like routinely, I will root against England to wind people up
Yeah,
who
yeah.
are near me
Yeah.
because I find it funny.
Mhm.
But then when I read that, I'm like, well, that's probably why. Like that's always made sense to me because, especially in today's age where fantasy sports has kind of ruined supporting people in general.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. I thought it was interesting when he was. What was that point you just making up before you were talking about that?
Which one?
Like
Like imagined realities.
Imagine realities. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was talking about the guy that started Peugeot, and he's like, there was no such thing as a company before, and he
Mm.
just he got a couple lawyers to sign a couple of things, and okay, now I own a company,
Yeah.
and everybody he got everybody on board, and if they wanted to sue him, they couldn't sue him. Like you're gonna sue the company,
Yeah.
and it's just
It's like you
Mind-blowing
don't
stuff.
work, you don't do that, you don't live there, you live on a rock in the sea. Those are two facts.
yeah.
That's it. You don't
Yeah.
live. England doesn't exist. It's
No.
a rock in the sea. That's the end.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. Like when the other tribes too, and they got to like places like Tasmania, who had never experienced like other people
Mm.
before, and they just completely wiped them out. And
Yeah, it's just it's a book that everyone should read. It's not big, but it looks thick because it's an A5
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
But
you might
it's-
need your dictionary a couple times.
Yeah,
but,
it is fascinating.
yeah, that's what I got Tet's reading it now, and he's like, well, I can only do 15 pages at a time. But Ficker.
Well, Danny probably.
He's read, I think, every book out there.
I bet Danny. Well, he's had a Harvard education.
Yeah.
If he doesn't understand the word, it shouldn't exist.
Yeah,
That's as far
exactly.
as I understand it.
Yeah, so it's good talking to those guys about it too.
Yeah. So books. Anything else?
Yeah, just like I said, finance books. I try and stay try every sport. I'm interested in. Where it's following baseball.
Nothing more relaxing than just sitting and watching a baseball game.
Yeah.
It's the most chilled out 3 hours you will ever spend.
Yeah, in the summer. I brought my girlfriend to one this summer in Toronto. And yeah, it's such a cool experience, especially live.
So I've only ever watched it on telly.
Oh, yeah. Live it's relaxing. Like, you can get way into it, or you can not be into it and still have a good time. Like, there's just a lot you could do. It's a nice day out, birds chirping.
It's just, especially when it's sunny. I imagine it's just like, because the one place I want to go to Yankee Stadium, because I watch, because they start at because they're so prime time, they start earlier than a lot of East Coast teams.
Yeah,
they're just always on to watch. So I like the Yankees.
Yeah,
just
for sure.
They're just because most of my sports teams are East Coast because for convenience purposes.
Exactly, for sure.
But they don't make any sense. It's like New York Rangers, New York Yankees, Philadelphia 76ers, and Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
They're my 4 teams.
Yeah. Well, that's good. You got your teams.
Yeah. Well, I like the Sixers strictly because of Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
Because I think he is A, hilarious, B, amazing, and he's just like the modern day athlete. That's what he is. And when he goes on like Twitter and calls people out, he's not calling out like scrubs on other teams. He's calling out the best players, and he's genuinely funny when he does it as well, which overall helps.
Yeah.
But I recently fell in love with basketball. Just fell in love with watching it, and just I was talking to Tim about it when we were in Denmark, because they were watching American football on their telly.
Yeah.
And I was there on my pad,
hoops?
I was watching hoops on my pad. And he's like, "You watched the regular season?" I'm like, "Yeah, just enjoy it."
Yeah. Did you watch the finals last year?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I was heartbroken when the shot went over Embiid in Toronto to knock the Sixers out.
Yeah.
And then the finals, I didn't think Toronto would do it. But obviously when Kevin Durant gets injured, when Klay Thompson gets injured,
like all the stars lined up.
It's just like it just has to happen.
Yeah.
And LeBron is making a very good case for being the best in the world again this year, but last year Kawhi definitely took the crown momentarily.
Yeah.
And then this year I think I genuinely see it being an all LA Western Conference final.
Could be, yeah.
Which will be insane. And it's insane to think those two teams both play out of the same stadium.
I know.
And they have to convert it. Have you ever watched the videos where they convert it from a hockey rink to a basketball?
Yeah, that's it.
Those time lapses.
Brendan was playing there one time. They're playing the Kings. I think they played in the afternoon, and then there was a Clippers game right after.
Except like 3 hours to convert it, and that's it. It's a different world.
Oh, it is.
We're getting there with the jumbotron and stuff, though. We've got some improvements in here.
Definitely.
Got some fun things planned for that jumbotron.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you wait till next. When's the 17th? Tuesday.
Oh,
when you're practicing, I'm going to be testing something while you're practicing.
Should I be nervous?
No, you should be excited.
Okay.
If it works, I imagine a few of you will be quite excited.
All right.
I'm basically going to be testing if a PlayStation game will work on it.
Oh, that'd be awesome. If you get FIFA on there.
That's the thing, we're going to test to see, because we think there's going to be a little bit of a delay, like half a second, and we want to see if it's playable.
Right.
If it's playable,
that'd be awesome.
you're all going to have, like, whoever wants to, out of you guys, is going to have like a game night.
Oh, sweet.
The trade-off is I get to record it and then post you shouting abuse at each other while you're playing like Mario Kart, FIFA, NHL on the big screen. So you'll be sat in a box, and I don't know if we'll draw it or if it would be random, like who wants to play who at what. Like I said, the trade-off is I get to record it and put it on YouTube.
Oh yeah, that would be good stuff.
Yeah, no. Well, thank you very much for doing this.
Yeah,
this has been. You might be touching David Ling territory lengthwise on this.
It really does fly.
I think you said that at the start. You said how it believed that it just flies down. So what's the rest of your evening got planned then?
Just relax and get ready for tomorrow. Fuel up.
Yeah, another game tomorrow. This is going out on Thursday, so this will be after that game.
Yeah.
It must be weird going up against. How was it going up against Stevie? That must have been strange.
Yeah, it is. The first time it was weird, and now you kind of somewhat get used to it. But
especially with him back in this building.
Yeah, it is.
And then he only went and picked up an assist as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
I said to Paul Dixon, you turn him into an offensive defenseman. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
All right, no problem.